All right, welcome back to Bamboo Batu, Bamboo Dialogues. Today I'm talking with Jon from Puerto Rico. Looking forward to speaking with him. We've connected a while back, so I'm really looking forward to this conversation. As always, if you like bamboo, check out my website, bamboobatu.com. Like and subscribe. Check out the show notes down below. There'll be links to other websites and other related information and whatnot. And yeah, thanks for watching. So, Jon, yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. I've been looking forward to this for a while. As we were just discussing, I first heard about you or saw you in a webinar somewhere, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but
I think it
I was
was the,
impressed.
the green series or green carbon series or something on those lines.
Very possibly. That sounds, yeah, something like that. But whatever it was, I was impressed, and I thought I got to connect with this guy and learn more about what he's doing. So, what little I know about you was from that webinar where you were talking about your biochar project in Puerto Rico. And as far as I know, you've been harvesting wild vulgaris bamboo, which grows like a weed. It's kind of invasive on the island there. And Puerto Rico being kind of a smallish island, it's important to kind of contain and manage those invasive plants. And bamboo can become invasive in some cases, and vulgaris in the tropics does spread like crazy. So you're basically doing like invasive bamboo management, containment, and turning it into biochar, which is an relatively easy thing to do, and an easy way to make good use of the bamboo, and put the carbon back in the soil, keep the carbon out of the atmosphere, all the benefits of biochar, which we can get into if we want to. But I know you got into bamboo a long time ago, I guess. So the biochar is a new thing for you. So tell me more about your bamboo journey.
Yes. First of all, thank you. Thank you for all the work you do. I'm a big fan of your dialogues and also your social media pages, etc. Always very valuable information you're sharing, and your summary is better than mine. Actually. So thank you. We can talk about the biochar and how that started as we move on in the conversation. But how do I began my journey with bamboo? It's um it's a long story. It's probably over 20 years ago. If you remember in that seminar, I started saying that I am a magician, and in my free time I studied chemical engineering, and that's not a lie. I spend much more time learning the crafts of magic illusions and whatnot, right?
Nice.
Hands and all. I'm passionate about that, and only 5 years is the chemical engineering degree. The magic journey is more than 20. But I was invited to perform magic in a house that, from the moment I got there, I got like hypnotized. Everything was in bamboo. The beds were in bamboo. The kitchen, everything, and it was sitting in a in a farm of 22 acres of over 19 species of bamboo. Long story short, I you know met the owners. I ended up working. Like, I was instantly attracted by that place and how the bamboo kind of gives you peace. We can You can even search for that in the internet. It was called the tropical treehouse in Puerto Rico. We had three bamboo tree houses made out of Colombian bamboo, the guadua, Angustifolia conf, and or guadua for short, one of the strongest. And this is my mentor, this guy, Mr. Joe Shear from Oregon, United States. He is a veteran from Vietnam, a brilliant mind. He knows how to work wood, but he designed these tree houses in bamboo. And back then, I was doing college and slowly shifting from my bachelor to master's degree studies. So I ended up working in that place as a property manager. I learned how to grow bamboo back then, 2001, 2002. You have to imagine there was not a lot of YouTube, a lot of Facebook.
Right, right.
Basically, the internet in the property was dial-up, and it arrived maybe 2 years after I was there. So the first 2 years, I only had a library full of bamboo books, and I'm in the middle of a hill in Puerto Rico, Rincon. It's a very special place for me because I spent almost 5 years of my life in that tropical tree house where I learned everything I know about bamboo, growing it. But at that moment, it was more building with it. I was an enthusiast of building chairs, building lamps, creating stuff with bamboo. I joke with a friend of mine that we got bitten by the bamboo beetle. It's like once
Exactly.
you get immersed, and we had over 19 or 20 species, so I could see the different ones growing faster than the others. We had some of them that in the rainy season, they could grow 8 inches in 24 hours. So we would joke with our visitors and our guests that if you spend enough time with a six-pack of beers, maybe you'll see it growing. It sitting down, you'll see that thing growing. And it's interesting how that the story connects, because being the property manager of Treehouses, we attracted a lot of people from around the world that were Treehouses enthusiasts,
Yeah.
although ours were made of bamboo, and bamboo that we just harvested from our own backyard, and we treated it, coated it. Amazing place, amazing experiences. And one of those guests was an architect, Puerto Rican architect. He was doing his master degree in the United States. I think that was one of these cold states. They make a lot of cheese, Wisconsin.
Yes, the
And
cheesesteak.
uh-huh, and he specialized in bamboo. This guy is a guru. Not surprisingly, his honeymoon, he wanted it to have that honeymoon in the
The
treehouse.
bamboo treehouse.
Yeah,
Oh,
of all,
man.
yeah, it's like
Nice.
his wife, Hope, luckily was supported
Oh,
him,
good.
because we're not going to a 5-star hotel. We're gonna climb stairs made of bamboo and stay in the middle of the woods. This is a magical place. You then search it because you could get your hand out and get a mango from the second floor. The tree houses were like a cone shape.
So
First
is this
floor with
still, is this treehouse place, is it still operating? Can I plan a trip this summer and
let's do this, Fred. For you, we can coordinate a trip. Unfortunately, after Category 5 Hurricane
right.
Maria, the tree houses became a little dangerous. But they still I mean, stand up a Category 5, which talks length about the
Nice. Yeah.
flexibility of a bamboo as a material for construction. But they were flaky, and one was turned down on purpose. They're now only doing long rental of the property, the main house, which
Okay.
of course still has the flavors, all the beds, the kitchen, the furniture, everything is bamboo. But the tree houses, we're trying to rebuild that.
Okay. Do you
and
have a
and
website we can share with the people?
I'll yeah, we'll share the
Okay,
links,
put it in the
because
notes.
originally there was a website with all the tree houses that had to be put down because people were trying to get to the tree houses and they were not in
Oh,
operation, right?
right,
And
right.
at some point it was on Airbnb too. But anyway, but if you go to Puerto Rico ever, I will personally take you there. And this is where I got my inception in bamboo. It's a magical place, and we still have the aspiration of bringing back all the 3 or 4 tree houses. It's a 22-acre property. It can stand maybe 7 tree houses. It's just the way it developed. Unfortunately, the hurricane put a stop, or the brakes on the trajectory. Let's put it that way. Like everything else in the island, when you get hit with a Category 5, it's a transformation
Yeah,
from
makes
top
sense.
to bottom. But anyway, fast forward 18, 19 years, and this guy, the architect, we meet a bunch of professionals in Wisconsin. This is the Midwest, and one of them was my mentor in biochar. I'm kind of doing a segue from how I began in bamboo
Okay.
to the biochar. This guy Jacek Milewski, he is from Poland, also chemical engineer, a brilliant mind in all about sustainable energy, renewables. He developed plans on doing ethanol with potato skins. This guy is a genius. And he called my friend, the architect, saying, "Hey, biochar, this and that." Well, again, like domino effect, the architect says, "Well, I know we have a lot of bamboo in Puerto Rico. Let me call my buddy John, he's into bamboo since I know him. That's how I met him, and he's good in business. He has a consulting firm. In a way, let's have a chat, all three of us, to see if this is actually something we can dedicate the next year or two." And the next year or two turned out that we started conversations in 2021, and in 2022 we were just moving full force early in 2022, raising money, capital, and funds to put this project together, a manufacturing project of taking the like you said, the invasive bamboo that grows in the riparian buffer zones of the rivers. Puerto Rico may
Right.
sound small. It's 100 by 35 miles, but we have 119 rivers, and it's incredible because it is believed that the Spaniards brought the bamboo, particularly to avoid flooding. Some of the rivers were small in scale compared to, you guys are accustomed to continents and large boat, gigantic rivers, right? These are small rivers.
Right.
You can't put a giant boat on them, just small 3-4 persons boats. However, in the rainy season, the southern rivers would flood really quick, and then when it's not raining, they would dry or get smaller. So the Spaniards came with the idea of putting bamboo walls to avoid flooding of the rivers. But then you fast forward 250 years, and what once was a solution became a problem, because the bamboo just growing next to a river, it has water all the time.
Right.
The sun would in the Caribbean, it's amazing. So now it's growing uncontrollably, and now in the change of governments, we first were Spaniards, 1492 to 1800s, 1898. Then the
Yeah.
United States
Yeah.
is in control of the island. Not to enter into any political topics, but they studied it and they declared an invasive species.
Okay.
It's hard to maintain, hard to manage, and then it grows, it dies. The clumps and the bamboo poles will invade the river, and then down the creek they would create a blockade in a nearby bridge, for example, or then they will grow too high, and then they'll invade power lines next to the roads.
Right.
It's impossible to maintain in reality. So we saw this opportunity of saying, hey, can we convert this feedstock into something that adds value to the soil, and not to even mention, before mentioning the carbon credit or carbon removal and capture, just dealing with the bamboo itself. I am a bamboo lover. I build with bamboo. My calendar, you can see it here, but behind this camera, my calendar has a bamboo frame. I'm also always building with bamboo, but I also recognize that it's a grass. It grows super fast.
Yeah.
And in communities that are dense, like us in Puerto Rico, it could become a problem. And it's not like if we cut it adequately, it's going to grow again in a year. In a year or two, it's just going to grow
Coming
again.
back. Yeah, exactly.
without no one investing an ounce of effort, is going to grow again. So that makes the story way more attractive. Of course, there are hard steps. How do you cut it? How do you access it? It took a lot of time, and it's a continuous improvement process, just getting that bamboo commercial volumes out, and create an operation to day by day bring bamboo, and then pass it through the process that we're going to talk about, the pyrolysis, and turning into biochar. But the other component that I wanted to touch is that when the authorities would go and try to remediate once the bamboo was already, creating havoc, then you get millions of dollars with heavy machinery getting that bamboo out of the river, probably all dry, and the clumps or the poles, or cutting it in mass, like a 2-month work just to cut it down, rework the power lines, and then it'll go to a landfill, which, by the way, out of the 28 landfills we started 70 years ago, organized management of waste, there's like 13 only remaining open, because we have to adhere to EPA standards, Environmental Protection Agency's federal rules. So the landfills are like, don't bring any biomass, because we can't get enough of waste here from the other amount of waste that the island produce. So there's another value added there. We are diverting that from arriving to the landfill and decompose, in which case the carbon would come back to the atmosphere.
Exactly. So
we're inserting ourselves in the middle of that problematic cyclic, unfortunate, I forgot the word, like whirlpool of cascading consequences, and then inserting ourselves, and now we're creating a multicircular economy of people cutting bamboo, first one of our kind in the island. We're employing 15 people, and then like 5 more part-time under contract workers to help us in different other tasks in the municipality that has the highest unemployment rate. And then when I look back, when we started with the idea, we didn't know how the story would translate into all these cascading multicircularities of benefits. And I believe that's in part why we kind of make a ripple that arrive all the way into Europe. We catch the attention of some buyers, carbon credit buyers, also Puro.earth, the governing, or one of the main markets for the carbon removal credits. And from there, here we are. That's how we met. So in a nutshell, sorry I took such a long introduction.
No, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot of things you said there that were really interesting. Not sure where to start, but the story about vulgaris, that species of bamboo that the Spanish, you were saying the Spanish brought it over. That's the theory anyway, and that's the theory that I subscribe to as well. That because vulgaris is a Chinese species of bamboo, for people that don't know, it's a clumping bamboo. It's a tropical bamboo that came probably from China or Taiwan or something, and it's all over Latin America. It's all over Africa. It's all over like Pacific Islands. And the best theory, I think, is like what you said, that during the age of exploration and the sailors going around the world, the Spaniards brought it, and they used it for erosion control or to make barriers, and also because they know, as we know, that it grows super fast, and there's like a zillion things you can make out of it for construction and everything else. And so at the time, like you said, it was a solution. 200 years later, it's kind of a problem.
Although we have no records that I know of utilizing the material in the abundant ways that, for instance, you get Asia and other countries They build a lot of them. Like either we had that and it was forgotten, and something interrupted that knowledge.
Mhm.
But in a way, people in the island would love it for the foliage, how it really makes everything looks better, and the shadows and the breeze, and but that's it. That's about it. Only a handful of us, like little buckets of enthusiasts, will use the bamboo and foster, and maybe even in an artisanal way. We don't have a bamboo industry at all, not for
Right.
construction, not as a renewable material to make even regular wood like the Chinese or other people do. They make ply, like similar to plywood,
Right.
flat with bamboo. We don't even have that, and 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 I guess it's also a predicament of the island's geography, because this is not it's not grown in plain fields. It's not like we have like Colombia, 300 acres of no, we have linear miles and miles. I say linear, but they go like a snake, right? So
Right.
so like the river will do different curves. That's the bamboo in each side growing. So it's really a challenge to manage it adequately. So that's another thing we're doing an unprecedented effort, and all the municipalities and towns and mayors are really behind us, because they're like, wow, this group, for the first time, we have a people that are addressing this bamboo from a technical standpoint, like
Mhm.
subject matter experts. We know how to cut it. We don't go and cut 100% of the clump, for example.
Right.
We divide them into the ones that are dead, 100% dry yellow. There are some of them that are 3 to 5 years. We don't touch the ones that are 1 to 3 years, and we do this
Nice.
in a very methodic and systematic manner, such as also the authorities that um, that guard or that are in charge of securing our natural resources. They don't feel that here's a group of people that are just cutting 3 miles of the river. Now the river has no shadow. It's well thought, is what I'm trying to say, and in conjunction with all these authorities, and that's what makes it a little harder, but it all makes sense. I mean, it's all worth it when we see all the downstream benefits. And whenever you want, just keep asking before we just go to the biochar. But on the bamboo alone, I think we're making a huge difference, and we are already selecting site number 2, because we're in the west coast of the island. We estimated using satellite imaging, and obviously
Mhm.
in situ studies, and validating what the satellite imaging is telling us. But by tapping only in less than 7% of 2 rivers, the bamboo on the 2 rivers surrounding our plant, the biochar production facility, uh, we can do everything that the machine can take. So it's a throughput of, once we are operating 24/7, we can do 10 tons of biochar per day. All of the bamboo needed for that can come only from 2 rivers that are north and south of the facility.
Wow, 10
Which,
tons a day from
yeah,
that's year round, right? It's
you can assume that we could uh, compensating from potential hurricane season and shutdowns for maintenance. You can imagine that we're going to operate somewhere between 300 to 330 days per year
that's pretty
once
good.
we reach our maximum capacity, right? This takes training, uh, onboarding people. Right now, we only have one shift, and we are for my forecast is that we're going to be able to do 2 shifts. That means 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. continuously
Okay.
producing, subtracting obviously heating up and cooling down. But ideally, we're going to operate 24/7. We're going to start making biochar on a Monday and turn the machine off 3 weeks later. And for
Right.
that, there's a lot of work to be done to get there, but we will get there. We will get there for sure in maybe third quarter of 2024. We may be able to achieve a 24/7 operation.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you're doing all the right things. Like just the managing of the bamboo and harvesting it correctly is something that a lot of people don't understand, especially in areas where, like you said, there's not a long tradition of using bamboo and building with it and stuff. It's just kind of looked at as a weed or maybe something decorative and ornamental. And so when it comes to harvesting it, people don't
In fact,
naturally understand that. It's not like harvesting trees. It's not like harvesting other crops. It's you got to wait till it's the right age, and you select out the old ones, leave the young ones, and so that's a big part of it to keep it going. And then that's why you're able to keep making biochar year round. And it
and
sounds.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish your thought. Sorry.
It sounds like you just barely scratched the surface of what's available in terms of biomass, and the fact that by harvesting it, you're actually benefiting the island, protecting the power lines, protecting the rivers from getting blocked, and everything else. So,
and fires, because in the dry season,
right.
Whether it's malicious intent or whether it's instant combustion or a combination, but we had year round during the dry season a lot of fires on them, and usually could be people, right, nearby farmers. They can't stand it, or they could try to burn 2 or 3 clumps and the fire just extended. But another political aspect of it, from a political sciences standpoint, people would thought that it was a protected species. People in the island would think, like an urban legend, that no, this is in extinction. This is in like this crop, you cannot cut it down because this could be a species that is in danger of extinction. And so it took also a great deal of education and having the proper authorities, and it's an ongoing effort too, right? Explaining to people, we would have a brigade, and they would call the police. Oh, here's they're cutting down bamboo, and that's against the law. And we're like, yeah, there are statutes and different policies, governmental policies about you cannot cut down a tree or a tree that is Puerto Rican in nature, right? There are protected trees, but the bamboo is not. It may be part of the statutes or the foliage you see around you, but it's not the same. So in conjunction with these authorities, we have been educating also all these urban legends about the bamboo being protected, and particularly justifying it on how fast it grows. Guys, this is a grass. This is not even a tree. This is a prehistoric grass. It belongs to the grass type of right. The gramíneas in Spanish. In terms of the difficulties of how to deal with it also and turn it into biochar, we have to chip it down to a particular size.
Right.
And after 6 months of testing and buying and trying with different American-made chippers, it ended up the reality striking our heads, in our faces, that we had to commission, design, and manufacture a special made chipper for bamboo, because
so the standard chippers don't work because it's super hard. A lot of silica in there.
Yes, it's hollow, and then all these chippers. We are a United States territory, so we have like the majority of the markets that we just rely on the U.S. The U.S. have different brands. They're all designed for trees, like solid trees and different properties. And that's what we had to work with. I could tell you, we started shipping with these chippers, whether it's Vermeer, and they're not paying us to name their brands, but Bandit, Vermeer. they would cut the bamboo into a size that I would then have to sieve it to get the uniformity of size that I need for my process to be able to cook good biochar. So
Okay.
I'm now chipping, then sieving, and then all the bigger pieces are left behind. Now I am using 40, 50, 60% of what I cut down because these larger pieces I cannot process. The machine is not, doesn't need, the machine, the pyrolyzer don't want different size of
Right. It needs to cook evenly.
feedstock. It has to cook evenly. So here we go, damaging all our calculations. Now we have another process step. We have to sieve, and now we have to go out to the field and get more material because we're only cooking half. But at the same time, we were doing all the research. We found these great people in Brazil that are special. Their specialty is chipping technologies, and
Okay.
we were together. Now we're partners. They commissioned the machine, the angle of the blade, the angle of attack. It has more blades than the regular machines that they used to build for other trees. And
Mm.
now we have a chipper that can provide me uniformity of sizing, and 100% of the bamboo that I cut is that size, and I can cook it. That machine arriving in Puerto Rico about in 1 week. That's that we're in the middle of that machine is in the ocean as we speak right now, coming to coming to Puerto Rico. A
Nice. So that's gonna revolutionize your business. It's gonna like double your efficiency, it sounds like.
game changer for us. Plus, the American made or American design for trees would not be able to handle bamboo that is half green, like that. Those 3-4 years not yet dry, because of the operating principle, the bamboo would turn into a little rope
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and and make laps around the cylinder and havoc. Every 2 days the machine is stuck. We have to disassemble. So we're only now working with dry dead bamboo. When the
Mhm.
machine from Brazil comes, and kudos to them. The company is called Lipel, and I'm happy to mention it because these folks from Lipel are subject matter experts. They work with us. We send bamboo from other countries from South America just to test it out and kind of bring Bulgarians to their side. And they did all kinds of testing and they improve. And we're gonna get that machine now. I can't wait. We can't wait. That's gonna be a game changer for the operation for sure.
That's amazing. So yeah, cutting up big fat green bamboo poles, that's a task. And then
Hmm,
in order to you still have to get dried though before it goes into the pyrolysis still, right? Like
correct. Correct.
the
Or at least under certain threshold of moisture content. Because I
okay.
can always, I mean, when you're going to 4 chambers of somewhere between 500 to 750 degrees, things are gonna dry.
Right.
Things are gonna end up, but your in feed uh, characteristics will determine that the process behavior, the residence time, and how long it's going to remain in those chambers.
Mm.
All that needs to be handled depending on the moisture content you come in the inputs. That resonates with what I told you, that I was a chemical engineer, and in my free time I am a magician and I study chemical engineer. I did a lot of manufacturing work. I worked for Johnson and Johnson, Amgen, uh, you name it, Pfizer, all these global manufacturers of medicinal products for human consumption. That's a niche in Puerto Rico. That's our main industry. So after getting out of the bamboo treehouse, when you are a student and all you have is debt and you're broke, uh, you have to find a job, regardless if it's what passionates you. So I spent like 12, 14 years working first as an employee of these companies. Then I work as a consultant. I still do. And I always have certain clients that calls, and I offer consulting services for manufacturing. But in a way, that friend that I told you that brought us to the world of biochar, then we have my architect friend and brother Claudio that knows all about bamboo. Not I know a little, not as much as him, but I brought in the process controls from pharma industry, which is FDA level, like Federal Drug Administration,
Yeah.
EMA, regulatory compliance. When you're manufacturing something for humans or children to consume, the controls and the standard is very high.
For sure.
So I could kick down that 25 notches, and we're still making a process higher quality and with more controls than any other producer, because there's no standard in making biochar, or there are standards out there developing, but it's not
Pretty
a
brand new. Yeah.
it's pretty brand new. It's not. It's this industry is just barely starting. I mean, in the scale that we want it to go. So I think for that reason, our approach to making biochar had, I would say, not to sound that I'm bragging or anything. It may sound bad, but it was kind of a dream team of people involved. We have also another one of the partners. And his specialty is software, and he can develop software, and he has created software for different operations like food and drug or food production. I'm talking about software that would help you track the operation, warehouse management. It's called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. So then he added up that flavor, and he said, wait, we need to control this, and we need to use technology tools to track and document all that's happening. And all of a sudden we have, I mean, yes, we're operating in an old sugarcane facility. Might look like a an outdoors operation, but when you study what we're doing, and you see and examine, we are adhering to ISO 9001 continuous improvement methodologies, quality systems. We have software to support the operation, which made it for us a little easier to demonstrate and justify with evidence what the process is doing, consumption of fuels, and all that fun stuff that you need to demonstrate in order to get qualified and certified for carbon credits.
Right, because you guys are certified on the Pure Earth standard, which is pretty stringent. I know there's a lot of documentation.
And I must be responsible. We are in that process, right? Okay. There's still one last step where they visit you, and it's an in-person audit. And I think that's being scheduled for somewhere between April and May. Of course, it depends on the availability of the auditors, but yes, I don't want to say we're certified, but okay. I am very confident that we will be certified before the end of second quarter this year. Third quarter at the latest, maybe if we have to move that audit date. Yeah. But we've been actively working on consolidating and compilating the compilation of all the data. It's a huge amount of work that for us was less painful because of the mix of people and the great team that we have.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if you know about the work I do in biochar, but yeah, I work with lots of biochar projects. Usually they're on the CSI, Carbon Standards International, CSI standard, Artisan Pro biochar. But we do work also with some Pure Earth projects, and we're in the middle of getting an audit scheduled on a project in
awesome.
Africa
Cool.
right now. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a strenuous process, but it's good that they don't want just anybody going out there and claiming carbon credits, because there's been so much shenanigans. So
and it only subtracts from us that are trying to do the right thing, and adds doubt and lack of trust to those producers like you and the groups that you work with and us. And I can tell you, not just trying to sound like an infomercial at all, but we for 2 years we worked diligently in producing and developing. We call it dynamic LCA. It's basically a module that will bring your sales information, or it integrates with other modules of the ERP. You have the sales, right? You have your buyer. Where's that biochar going to end up? That's important to know for the additionalities and when it was applied, etc. But we also have the modules for fuel consumption, for energy consumption, other than fuels, it's for the harvesting operations. But then we have the data on the process itself. What we did is we have an SPC software, also custom made. SPC stands for Statistical Process Controls, where we can track and learn batch after batch compared to the properties of the certificate of analysis of the biochar at the end, and then understand what's the recipe that worked best when the feedstock was at this particular moisture content.
Right.
And we have historical data of each batch by date, with all the points of all the temperatures, all the speeds. And if you work with biochar, typically speeds and temperatures are the two most critical process parameters.
Exactly.
And with that, we are enabling continuous improvement and reduce variability, which is, to me, I want that biochar to be always consistent, the same good quality biochar. So all these tools, without us knowing, we were creating them for us. But now there's another group in US, and they're like they're joining forces with us to use those same. They said, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. You guys put together a sound software that will help any biochar producer, and it's cloud-based. Because my vision is that you don't need to send an auditor to start seeing logbooks, or I don't need to start scanning paperwork to demonstrate what we're doing. We're going to track that operation in a software, and it's going to be cloud-based. All I have to do is give you credentials. You're in Switzerland? Okay, here's your username and password. Go in, and you'll see what's happening. And you see how much is in the warehouse, how much was produced yesterday. And I think that's kind of where we're going to end up at some point as an industry. And that's how I see it. I hope.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, it's the same way we do it too. It sounds like I might have to schedule another call and talk to you more about your dynamic LCA models, because I don't want to bore the audience with that. But there's a lot to talk about there. And I'm a little bit of a nerd, and you have to interrupt me anytime and drive this with other questions, because I would deep dive in. We could really get into the weeds on the MRV tools and the LCA models and everything else, because that's how I spend the bulk of my days, actually. And I do all the bamboo stuff in my free time, and some here and there. So it's super interesting to hear all the stuff you've been developing on the software side of that, as well as the techniques like operational stuff, like on the ground, like the harvesting and the chipping, and getting the right moisture level and all that stuff. There's a lot more involved in making biochar than people think. On the one hand, it's like super simple. You got biomass, you got heat, and then you get biochar. But on the other hand, it's like
the devil is in the details. The devil is in the details, right? Like they say. And let me ask you, one of those production in Africa, do you buy the feedstock? Do you receive trucks of feedstock?
Well, that's the thing. We build financial models for it, and we work with project designers, developers, And the first thing we have to know in making the financial model, how much is your feedstock? What's the cost of your feedstock? It's like, oh, it's free. It's just like growing all over the place. It's free. It's like your bamboo. Your bamboo is all over the place. It's free. It's like, well, yeah, it's free, but we got to go out there. We got to drive over the hills. We got to saw it. We got to cut it. We got to chip it. By the time it gets into the kiln, is it's definitely not free.
That by the time it gets into the kiln, you have spent 3 times what you thought it was going to cost you to get it out.
Yeah.
That's
so yeah, it depends a lot. In like in Namibia, there's this thorny invasive bush that grows all over the place. The government has like a mandate for people to remove it. So, but yeah, it's free in a way, but it's thorny, and you got to cut it and throw it on the back of the truck and stuff. So,
and depending the volumes of your operation, it's truck or dozens and dozens of trucks per week.
Yeah, it's truckloads. Well, there's a few different projects there, different sizes, but yeah, truckloads of different quantities of truckloads, basically. We've got some smaller projects with smaller kilns, and then we've got project with big kiln, more like the size of your retort kiln there. I don't know how much detail I'm going to go into on that on here, but
no, it's okay. Yeah. I can imagine. Well, we can. I mean, closing on that topic of the biochar. To me, it's important, right, to study what were your best batches, because currently not too many standards are asking you for the data of the process, and that's something that struck me as surprising. I was like, oh, you don't need what was the temperature of those batches, or what was my pyrolysis chamber overall average temperature. Well, they're okay with the final COA, certificate of analysis, etc. But from a producer standpoint, hey, you wanna make sure you can do the most process improvements that you can, whether you're pursuing higher yields or you're pursuing higher carbon content. Those are 2 different processes. If I want a medium quality biochar, but the most amount possible, versus I want a biochar with the highest potential carbon to or H2C ratio or fixed carbon content, I am discovering that these are 2 different processes, these different recipes to call it somehow. And if we are going to pursue that other financial instruments that around the world take our industry seriously, we have to go down to that rabbit hole of understanding and characterizing that process down to the needy details. So we're doing a number of studies. We're placing our biochar not only as an application, final product application in cows for food, trying different mixtures with growing orchids, growing this, growing that, growing the other, but also doing experimental batches with different residences time, obviously as much as possible keeping the feedstock with the same characteristics, but tweaking that process and learning, hey, so if we operate at these speeds with these temperatures, we have less biochar, but look at the carbon content. It's this this much stronger than this other.
Yeah, nice.
It's great. It's great, and it's just a long journey ahead of us, but are ready for this. I can't wait to continue and sharing all these findings with people like you and other colleagues around the world in this. I see us like pioneers.
My colleagues at Plan Boo, I think, we're gonna want to talk to you more about all that stuff. Because we've got technology and stuff to measure all those things, and it's kind of a similar journey. We started out developing the technology to measure what's going on in the kiln, to track everything, to get the carbon credits. But what more and more we're learning is, like what you said, the more you can track what's going on, the more you can use that knowledge, not just to verify your carbon credits, but to like to tweak your recipe and perfect it and get more efficient. And then like you said, like the different qualities of biochar and different desired results, quantity versus carbon percentage or whatever. Yeah, so we could really geek out on it. Like it's definitely a rabbit hole.
In the pharma and biotechnology sector of manufacturing, they call this quality by design, QBD, and it's a huge concept. Like all regulators, FDA, they follow a quality by design approach. Follow a quality by design approach, which is these are the characteristics of the product at the end. That this is what I want. How the how the process needs to be to achieve those qualities. So what it conveys is process understanding, because if I'm going to cross my fingers and see, let's see what biochar I get when I cook, you're doing it great, but you don't yet really know the nuances and the interactions of your variables. You demonstrate process understanding when you say, what do you want at the end? This? Okay, well, the inputs must be this characteristic, the process must behave this way, and that's going to give you, with high degree of predictability, this level of quality, this carbon content, or this amount of yield. Sometimes people use just 3 to 1, right? Three tons of feedstock is going to give you 1 ton of biochar. Now I'm learning, well, it depends what type of biochar I'm going to get out, and the answer is always it depends. And the more data we accumulate, the more we can accurately answer those questions. So yeah, quality by design approach. Again, falling myself into my nerdy side of all that I've learned from the pharma and biotechnology industries.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It's been fascinating. I think we talked for a lot longer than we expected to, but I didn't realize how that we were both such lovers of biochar and all its little nuances and granularity. And yeah, it's an amazing thing. And it dovetails really nicely with bamboo, which is what we thought we were going to talk about. But I mean, I knew we were going to talk about biochar too, but yeah, a lot of real interesting overlap in the two. Like they're both like prehistoric, and yet like just in the last 5, 10 something years, they're both like blowing up. And it turns out one is a really good feedstock to make the other, and they're both great climate solutions.
So I'm gonna close it out from my end saying that I feel it's like a Eureka moment, like aha, voila, or whatever people say it, and that helps me, insert that our biochar is called Central Eureka. That was the name of the former abandoned sugarcane facility that we rented and repurposed it for. It was an abandoned facility, 9 acres, and we just using. So our next door neighbor is a gigantic chimney that used to throw black smoke day by day, burning sugar or in the process of making sugar out of sugarcane. And now we are reviving that facility and capturing carbon through the powerful CO2 absorbing capacity of the bamboo. So
you literally recycled their old factory.
Yes, and I tell people we don't do the carbon sequestration. That our friend the bamboo is in charge of that. She sequestered the bamboo in photosynthesis. Right. We just insert in the middle of the process the life cycle and transform it into recalcitrant carbon via we call the pyrolyzer the dragon. So our dragon do that job, and yes, it's like an Eureka moment what humanity is experiencing from a food production standpoint too. That it's not only inserting that carbon into the soil, for because it's a good vehicle for long term, is because soils are dying too, and that paradigm shift. You don't feed the plant, you feed the soil. You keep the soil healthy, the plants will be better. So I like the phrase that it's an Eureka moment for the world, because that's our brand, Eureka Biochar.
Nice. Well, I could not have said it better myself. Thank you so much for your time today, John. My guest today has been Jon. How do I pronounce your name? Irizarry.
Irizarry. Sí,
Irizarry.
yes.
Jonathan Irizarry in Puerto Rico. It's been a huge pleasure talking with you. And don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. And we'll see you next week here on Bamboo Batu. All right.
See you next week.
Thank you so much.